श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्. Okay, let us start. Chapter 10, verse number 8. Chapter 10, verse 8. Those of you remember, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. So, question 1. How do I apply this? See, the whole purpose of this quiz is application orientation. So, at this point of time, what we are saying is chapter 1 to 6 helps me. If I apply, I learn how to understand myself. Chapter 7 to 12, if I apply, helps me to understand this world and behave in it. So, how do I apply this? Yes, please go ahead, Raghuji.
Actually, today I had a little bit of an epiphany um, when I realized that the Dvaita view will not get you to moksha until you have complete surrender. You have see the Dvaita has to become Advaita. That is, there can't be two. And as long as you still think you are here and that is there and that's giving you things, that's taking things away from you and all that, you cannot get to moksha. You have to completely eliminate yourself, and then there is only one. It becomes Advaita. And so in fact, as long as the Dvaita view persists, it actually prevents you from moksha. This I well, I thought about this when I realized, when things were not going well for my son. He's done all his stuff, but not getting a job, and geopolitics are essentially crushing all his dreams and all that. And he feels that, this is not, this is not. And then when he gets an opportunity, he says, "But I am not fully qualified. You have better people and all that." I say, "You like what happens to you? Just accept it as it is." But you cannot accept it as long as you think there are two there and somebody is giving you this, you deserve it or you don't deserve it, and all that. So that's when I was looking at the thing. And here he actually tells that knowing this, understanding this, the wise worship me with all their heart. So when they realize that he is the source of everything, he is everything, that is, that they have completely lost their own selves, that's when the wise worship. I mean, they're considered wise because they are the realized ones.
Okay, any other view?
The application, could be something like Yog Karmasu Kaushalam, because if the source of everything is him, then I see him in everything, or see that everything is him, which is why everything that I would do should lead to that feeling of you know I'm doing something for God, or it's with the feeling of yajna. It will all come together that way. Some of the practices that we were told earlier. तो अगर मेरा नजरिया ऐसा होगा तो फिर कर्म उस तरह से होगा, and hence it takes me closer to the goal.
Okay.
And
Any other
हर
thought?
चीज
Any other?
Yeah, I wasn't there when this was being taught, but for me the operating word here seems to be bhajante mam, and the reason being that while all of this it calls for a certain level of uh, devotion and holding on to a belief, and which is why the first line aham sarvasva prabhavo matta sarva pravartate, that hold on to this belief, and in some way the fact that even as much as one can think about philosophy, but a trust and belief and bhakti is required to reach, is the way that I interpreted it.
Very nice. Firstly, to start with where Raghuji was talking about, what is the definition of moksha? And therefore, what happens is the Dvaita defines moksha as without sayujyam. The Vishishtadvaiti brings in sayujya, merger. The Advaiti doesn't even talk of moksha, say, because he says, I cannot talk of moksha because I am already free. There is no question of moksha. That's a theoretical concept. Now, the problem with all three is that this is vada, this is tarka, right? He himself says, right, in chapter 10, that of all dialogues, I am vada. Good discussions, right? What we are having right now, for example. But to realize him in that vada also, Vibhuti Yoga only I'm talking about, chapter 10, requires us to have a feeling, an emotion. And unless that emotive content is brought in, which is why he uses the word bhajante. Bhajante does not come from logic. Bhajante comes from emotion. Surrender of the ego logically cannot happen. Right? Then the question of who is surrendering, what is being surrendered, you are trapped in that chakra view of logic. To get out of logic, see, when we say that you have a vicious circle and you want to get out of it, right? Or you want to put a circle into motion, the force used is tangential, right? Two engineers, three engineers. One CA talking to three engineers, explaining dynamic, explain theory of motion. So you have to apply tangent to that circle. We see that children doing that. They take that hoop and they hit it. They don't hit it in the middle. They hit it at the tangential, and it will move. That tangential force that will set this into motion has to be outside that circle. That can only be emotion. You cannot get through in logic. And that is why one of the very important aspects of chapter 10, 11, 12 is that emotive content that needs to be, we need to understand our own emotional barriers and we need to break out of it. One of the things that Sadhguru does, I've forgotten the name of that particular program. It's a 7-day Samyama program. I think in the South, they have started calling it Samyama. It's actually Samyam. Samyam means to be able to control. Right? Samyam, the word Samyam comes from control. It's a 7-day process of breaking down your logical barriers that prevent you from accessing your emotional strength. This chapter 10, this particular verse 8, does it straight away in one line. Iti matva bhajante mam kudha bhava samanvitaha. So bhava samanvitaha. Not tarka samanvitaha. Not vada samanvitaha. So the biggest application that I see here is the need for us to stop dissecting and start going inward. Without that dissection. So that stilling of that mind that is required with a mantra, with a breath watch, with whether you're doing it in a walking, the walking yoga, pranayam, Brahman pranayam, whatever you are doing. That until that stillness, and that stillness cannot be arrived at through logic, isn't it? Because logic by definition is asking and answering, asking, answering. So that is my first view on this particular thing. There is a cross reference that I was looking for. Any thought, any cross reference?
Guruji, before cross reference, so Buddha शब्द लिखा है यहाँ पे. If it's
Buddha
referring
is
to Buddha,
no. Buddha means he who knows, जिसके पास बुद्धि है. Any other cross reference that you can think of? It's a beautiful verse that I thought of. I'm not sure you will all relate to it, but my cross reference to this is from the upama that is used by Krishna, where he talks of the garland of pearls. Matta parataram nanyan kinchit tasti dhananjaya. There is nothing other than me. My sarvamidam protam sutre manigana ivaha. Right? He says that so beautifully. There is nothing else other than me. Even that vibration of this as a verse, if I can feel that, if I can look outside and see that tree moving in the wind, and say that the wind and the tree are nothing but him, and be one with that feeling, that is the application. In such a case, then your life becomes so much easier, because you start dealing with people, you're then dealing with an issue and not with a person. You can no longer get angry at a person. You get angry at the issue. There is no problem with that. Vyavaharika satta does not go away. Just because there is Paramarthika satta that has become a reality for you, the Vyavaharika satta does not go away. I will still say that this is wrong, and therefore I will act upon that, but I am acting upon the action which is wrong, not the person. You have moved yourself away from there. Your life becomes easier, so much simpler. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, it says, Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti. Chapter 3, verse 1. Adhyaya 1, verse 1. Bhrigu. Everything has come out from that alone. And it is Yato jayante. From that, the Upanishads don't have a name for it. They don't even call it Brahman. They call it it. Because they went beyond all possibilities, and they said, I don't know how to define it. Logic cannot touch it. The mind cannot understand it. The ears cannot hear it, etc., etc. So Taittiriya Upanishad gave me a beautiful immediate cross-reference. There are other cross-references also, obviously. And I would actually start encouraging you. I think we are now at ending chapter 12. We have started looking at chapter 13. I think we should start reading, if not anything else, at least Gurudev's book on Taittiriya Upanishad is something that I would prescribe, start reading. Gurudev's Vyakya, he has obviously done a translation with his... Gurudev is obviously an Advaiti and therefore has used the Advaitic approach. But... and we are all learning it from the Advaitic approach. So therefore, I think it's a good reference book. Taittiriya Upanishad is a good book to start with. Taittiriya Upanishad also, another interesting part is because it is part of the Yajurvedam, especially Krishna Yajurvedam. So it has swara. So if you listen to it, it's a beautiful chant. And a lot of the sayings that is used by government nowadays come from there. Atiti Devo Bhava. Right? And then they misuse it. Without understanding the Sanskrit, they misuse it. So the Institute of Hotel Management, IHM, has Atiti Devo Bhava as their slogan. So I asked, so I was doing a session there, and I asked, what is it that this means for you? So he said, the guest is a god. I said, no, it says bhava. Bhava means be. Then where does this be come in from? Be means be such that every guest is treated as a deity. Be such, which means it's talking about your behavior. Matru Devo Bhava. The mother may be a god, may not be a god. You be such that you treat your mother as God. All of this is there, right? Well, last time also, I think we talked about Shraddhaya Adeyam, Ashraddhaya Adeyam, etc., etc. All of that was also from the Taittiriya Upanishad.
Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara is also there, right?
Yes, Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara is also that is the convocation address. It's a beautiful. It's the entire speech. All of this, the Matra Devo Bhava, etc., etc. It is the part of the convocation address. It is the Acharya telling the pupils how to deal and behave in life when they leave. So I was once asked by the Satyasai University to give a convocation address. That's a weird story that happened. I'm nowhere in the league of people who have given convocation addresses over there, which includes Ratan Tata, it includes Narayan Murthy, it includes Uday Kotak, and then somewhere in the middle there is a Samir Parekh. And it just happened. There was a series of events that led up to this. But anyway, I was asked to give a convocation address. So I said, the best that I can do is take up the Sikshavalli and just read it. That is the best convocation address in the world. But then obviously that wouldn't fly. So then I had to base my talk on that. So that was what we did. Anyway, chapter 10, this one done. Let's move on. Chapter 11, verse 32. Chapter 11, verse 32. Famous verse. Yes, any ideas, any thoughts?
The practical application.
Yes, obviously, that's the first part that we look at.
So one application could be that from the last line, he's talking about that Arjun thinks that he is going to kill the opposing warriors who are his relatives. So
Okay.
going to Nimit Matra point, so you doing something, you controlling something versus, it's something a lot more, and hence we are just Nimit Matra, hence not really think about the result, or it is not in your control, and just focus on karma could be one practical application of this. Don't think कि हम ये कर रहे हैं. Anyways, that
Okay.
result is bound to happen. So
Okay.
When you view the events that are happening as something that is inexorable in the passage of time, you lose your kartritva bhava. You are just a instrument, just doing your action. What your duty is, you're doing that. So this is what he's saying. I'm the mighty world-destroying time. At this time, I'm engaged in subduing the world. Even without you, none of these warriors are going to survive. So just go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. Focus only on what you're supposed to do.
Okay. So for me here, do you want to add anything? Okay. So for me here, the first is that, you see, we are all the time, I have a feeling we struggle with time and we struggle with change. All of us, right? Uh, Raghuji mentioned about his son's struggles that and he used the word now, right? Uh, you're going through the troubles that you are facing, or rather, the illness that your father is facing. These are troubles that we face. We are struggling with change. And we are all the time looking at saying, yesterday was perhaps better, right? If you look at the entire ad world, especially the ad world that is catering to physical beauty, it's always trying to push you into the yesterday, isn't it? Whether it's a dye, whether it's a collagen, whether it's whatever, the makeup, right? All of it is trying to tell you yesterday was better, look like that. You will go back into time. And refuses to allow you to accept the transformational nature of this entire world. But this world itself, by definition, was jagata. Jayati, gacchati, tishtati. It comes, it goes, and in between it stays for a fleeting moment of time. It is permanently changing. At a micro level, individually, and at a cosmic level, chapter 12, so obviously 11, so we are looking at it from a cosmic level. We are saying that change is inevitable. And my non-acceptance of this change is one of the root causes of my own suffering. So if I want to look at this as an application, can I look at saying my own behavior in terms of saying, do I accept changes as they occur? Whatever they are, good or bad, both. And I mentioned in the last session just now, is that typically we behave like Kunti. So in the Srimad Bhagavad Kunti, she has a huge portion where she's praying to Krishna, and Krishna's her prayer is, give me grief, give me sorrows, give me troubles. And the answer is obviously because when I get troubles and sorrows and pain, I remember you. In pleasure and joy and satisfaction, I have forgotten you. And my counter to that is that look at Kabir and do what Kabir said. And Kabir says this, isn't it? Anybody remembers the beautiful doha? दुख में सुमिरन करे सब कोई, सुख में करे न कोई, दुख में सुख में सुमिरन करे जोई, दुख काहे को होई. So can I look at all transformations, good or bad? I remember, who was that tennis player who suffered from cancer? Federer, is it? No, not Federer.
Arthur Ashe.
Arthur Ashe. So Arthur Ashe was once asked, how do you feel that you have been detected with cancer? And he answered so beautifully, so philosophically. And he said, I feel the same that I felt when I won the World Cup. And when I went the what is it called? That 5, you win all the 5 and or something, right? Or some grand something, whatever. So, and so he says exactly, I didn't ask why me when I got cancer, because I didn't ask why me when I won the World Open. That nature of transformational acceptance is something that I think this verse teaches very, very profoundly. It's not about that. Oh, it's a beautiful image. It's a beautiful image, right? I mean, we have Oppenheimer and we have all of that, and we have the entire beautiful image of that mushroom cloud. And then you have the image that you have in front of you with all devouring time and so on and so forth. All of that, yes. But how do I relate to it personally at a very, very micro and then at a cosmic level is that transformational acceptance of transformational behavior of this entire nature, of this myself, this body. Any cross reference that you can think of now that I've asked about this? Any
So in
cross
so many
reference?
places it says, you have to have Sukha and Dukha, Ushna and Sheetal, all that.
No, I am looking at. I'm
Everything
looking at.
is the same for you. There
Fine,
is
fine. I'm looking at a direct reference to transformation. Two places that I can think of. One, see, what are we closest to? We are closest to our body, which is why in Aparokshanubhuti, there is so many verses he just relates only about removing that body identification. That's our closest association, isn't it?
Mm.
So, two places where I think were very, very hard hitting. One was Vasamsi Jirnani, and the other was Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu. Two of these verses, both these verses, they're so hard hitting directly about this transformational aspect of how this time works. I'm happy if you can find more direct references, and that is what this entire exercise is. It's not about my telling you, okay, this is the one cross reference that is there. No, cross references could be very multiple, and you could look at multiple cross references that you can derive, which say that this teaching can be derived from or is giving me an idea about it.
even the end of Rudram, Mrityave Swaha, Mrityave Swaha.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Vedic Upanishad, the Upanishadic or the Vedic cross reference could be Mrityave Swaha, Swaha. And then he relates Vishnu to Mrityu. Vishnu being something that
Krishna mein
pervades
Mrityu
everything,
mein pahi.
right? The Acharya, the seer in that particular Anuvaka, he relates Vishnu being that which has pervaded this entire universe. And how has he pervaded? In the form of Mrityu. He has pervaded. In the Upanishad, I liked one particular reference. There are again multiple references, but I liked one very powerful reference from Mandukya Upanishad. In Mandukya Upanishad, first verse itself, the first verse of Mandukya Upanishad, it says, Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam tasya po vakhyanam bhutam bhavad bhavishyad iti sarvam omkara eva. Very specifically, he says, Om, Brahman, is that which existed, that is existing, that will exist, and therefore there is transformation. It accepts Bhuta Bhavishya and present, right? It accepts past, present, future. But it accepts this movement of time as on a substratum called Brahman. And therefore, it indicates there is transformation. Can you see beyond the transformation to that substratum which is never changing? And then we move to the next one, unless there is a question or an opinion here. Go to chapter 12, verses 6 and 7.
सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषां संसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ भयामि हितचेतसाम्.
Yes, please go ahead.
Practical application
Hmm.
would be keep him as the ultimate goal
Okay.
and as the only ultimate goal exclusively.
Okay.
उसी में योग और ध्यान, so ध्यान happens
Fine.
from
So
intellect.
how do you
So
apply it? So how do you apply it? What do you do?
सर
हाँ जी, बोलिए ना.
हाँ, जो भी हम करते हैं अपने जीवन में वो सब भगवान को ही अर्पित कर दें, उसमें सब में उसी को देखें. मतलब जो भी
Okay.
हम कर रहे हैं ना वो मैं नहीं कर रही हूँ, मैं नहीं कर रही हूँ. जो भी मेरे अच्छे हैं कर्म बुरे हैं, और उसको उस प्रोस्पेक्टिव में रख के ईश्वर की के लिए मैं ये काम कर रही हूँ, या मैं जो भी कर रही हूँ वो वही उसी की प्रेरणा से मैं इस काम को कर रही हूँ. अपना जो भी कुछ कर्म है ना वो सब उनको ही समर्पित यदि हम कर देते हैं, और चाहे फिर हम उसको मूर्ति के रूप में देखें चाहे किसी अक्षर के रूप में देखें, तो जब हम उसको सब कुछ अपना अर्पित कर देते हैं कि सर अखिल संसार में ब्रह्मांड में जो भी कुछ है वो सब तेरा है, तू मुझ में है मैं तुझ में नहीं.
So उस दिन आपके मीनिंग से मुझे इसका क्लैरिटी नहीं आया, जिसमें ये बोल रहा है तेषाम अहम समुद्धर्ता मृत्यु संसार सागरात भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मयि अवेशित चेतसाम. ये लाइन का मतलब फिर क्या हुआ? आपने पहले वाले फर्स्ट
इसमें
श्लोक का आपने 6 नंबर का अच्छी तरह से समझाया. यस, मैंने सब कुछ अर्पण कर दिया.
हाँ,
तो ये जो
तो इसमें
समुद्धरता,
समुद्धरता अर्थात हम उसी के मतलब मैं उसका ही इस जन्म मृत्यु जो ये संसार चल रहा है अपना, इसमें जो ये एक तरह से समुद्र के ही समान मानो ना, जैसे समुद्र की कोई गहराई नाप नहीं सकता, ठीक इसी प्रकार से संसार की डेप्थ को हम समझ नहीं सकते कि कहाँ तो वो है. तो मतलब यही है कि मैं इस जो मृत्यु रूपी जो संसार है जो जिसमें रोजाना हम वही जो भी आपने कहा जायति गच्छति तिष्ठति, व्यक्ति प्रतिदिन मर भी रहा है, कुछ कुछ क्षरण हमारे में हो रहा है. तो वो होते होते उसमें मतलब ये कि यदि तुम मेरे को ही भजोगे हर परिस्थिति में तो मैं तेरा अध्याय मतलब तेरा उद्धार करूंगा. ईश्वर ऐसा कहते हैं कि मुझ में ही चित्त लगाओ, मुझसे ही प्रेम करो, मुझ में ही सब कुछ करो. अगर सब कुछ तुम मुझ में ही करते हो तो फिर मैं
तो
तुम्हारा उद्धार करूंगा ना, फिर मैं देर क्यों करूंगा. द्रौपदी
वेरी
जब तक चीर अपने हाथ से पकड़ के बैठी थी तब तक उसका उद्धार नहीं हो रहा था. जैसे ही उसने छोड़ दिया अपने साड़ी को, भगवान
तो तो
तुरंत आ गए.
तो प्रॉब्लम है ना. तो प्रॉब्लम है.
क्यों प्रॉब्लम?
क्यों? क्योंकि चैप्टर 6 वर्स नंबर 5 में वो बोलते हैं उद्धरेत आत्मान आत्मानम न आत्मानम अवसादयेत. खुद का काम करो. एक बार बोल रहे खुद काम करो, दूसरे बार बोलते हैं मेरे को अर्पण करके काम करो, मैं तुम्हारा उद्धार करूंगा. तो
तो
अब
सर
तो
कर्म तो
कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट कर
हमको ही
रहे हैं.
करना पड़ेगा ना, भगवान थोड़ी कर्म करेंगे. कर्म तो वी गॉट आवर बॉडी, तो हमें कुछ भी करना है तो काम तो हम ही करेंगे सर. भगवान तो प्रेरणा दे रहे हैं ना, काम तो
ओके.
करना पड़ेगा ना. आंखें भी अब अपनी झपक रही है तो कुछ तो क्रिया करनी पड़ेगी. तो काम करते हुए हर पल उसका ध्यान होना, हर पल उसको याद करना, उसके अंदर ही रहना.
I am not disputing your standpoint, but your standpoint takes me up to a particular level जहां मैं और वहां वो, ये अभी भी एक भिन्नता है.
So
मैं
verse
मैं करूंगा और मेरा कर्म मैं तुमको अर्पण करूंगा, यानी मैं और तुम. करेक्ट.
no
आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट इज
verse
रॉन्ग. आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट इज रॉन्ग. हर सी ऑल द philosophies All the philosophies. There are 9 different specific philosophies with 9 Jagatacharyas who have, I'm not getting into the details, but there is Nimbarka, there is Chaitanya. All of them have come back with philosophies which are slightly adjusting to the Sthana Kala Patra Vishaya of that particular time. Right? It started with Advaita from Shankaracharya, and then it kept on getting into various streams depending upon the Sthana Kalpatra Vishaya, and therefore we have Shuddha Dvaita, the Dvaita Advaita, Achintya Bheda Bheda, etc. etc. I'm not getting into all of that. Basically, all of them can be clubbed into Advaita, Dvaita, and Vishishta Advaita, somewhere in between Vishishta Advaita. How do I interpret this for myself is the question. And if Meenaji says this is interpreted for me in this manner, then apply yourself accordingly. That is the process. It is not about saying, oh, you are right and he is wrong. Right? We are not sitting here as Shankaracharya and Mandana Mishra trying to do Tarka and Vada and trying to convert each other. No. That is not even the idea. The idea is how do I apply it? So what Meenaji is saying, perfectly all right, applicable to herself. Is there any other application that I can look at? For me, for example, or for you, is there any other thing that you can think of? That is the question.
To me, verse 6 defines the absolute surrender, and verse 7 gives us the consequence of that surrender. So basically, it says, you worship me, renouncing all actions in me, regarding me as a supreme goal, meditating on me at all times, unswerving devotion. That's absolute surrender. That you don't exist anymore. I am it. Then when I am it, I will automatically give you the how do you say, the release from this samsara. Okay, he's actually giving you the consequence in verse 7.
Okay. Any other thought? If not, is there a cross reference that you can think of? Very, very popular one. Again, another one which, one, it is popular, and 2, it has been talked about in these sessions also in detail. And I quite often refer to it also. Okay, clue will be, I call it the formula for success.
922.
Perfect. The formula for success. Ananyaschintayanto ma. Correct. Ananyaschintayanto ma ye jana paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyam. I will bear you across. Aham yogakshemam. Now, yes, Meenaji's view, there is a Krishna and he will take me across. Perfectly all right. Is there another view? There is a Advaitic view also that can be looked at. Let us look at the Advaitic view from the Upanishad. I have a beautiful, it popped up while I was studying this. This popped up in my mind just like that. And I thought, let me look at that. It says, Nayam Atma Pravachena Labhyo na Medhaya na Bahuna Shrutena Yame Vaisha Vrunute Tena Labhyastasyesha Atma Vivrunute Tanuswam. What does it mean? It says, this is from Kathopanishad. Kathopanishad, it says, the self is not attained through study, not through intellect, not through hearing many scriptures. It is attained only by the one whom the self chooses. Vivrunute, it reveals itself. To such a person, the self reveals itself. So how will it reveal itself? In the earlier chapters, in the later verses, Krishna gives the methodology. Oh, so now you do this, or you do this, or you do this. That is the process of purification. Through that process of purification, the self that is in me automatically, the self that is me will start shining. In chapter 13, which we have not studied here, but just a quick reference, is that he defines this indweller as Upadrashta and then takes it through various levels. Upadrashta, Bhokta, and ultimately Maheshwara. Various levels. He goes through those various levels one by one to tell us as to what is the behavior of us in the process as we purify. But it starts with being a witness. So that witness will reveal himself as the witness when I purify myself. How is the process of purification happening? Verse 6. So if I behave as verse 6, the process of purification will allow me to come out and reveal itself. I'm sorry, I'm sounding like Swami Nityananda. So so I mean, I'm not denigrating him. I think his challenge is whoever does his translations from Tamil to, because if you hear him in Tamil and if you understand Tamil and if you hear him in Tamil, he's really profound. The moment he shifts to English, he goes haywire. So it's that whoever is translating for him, or I don't know whether he is doing his own translations. If he's doing his own translations, he's at the same category as Mamata Banerjee, who's also, when she translates and speaks in English, she goes into complete haywire. But so anyway, that self, the capital S, that actually is me, right? The Aham Brahmasmi, in the form of knowledge, Prajnanam Brahma. That which I believe is today separate, my Atma, right? You have heard this in so many, if you're building societies or in your friends group, you will get a message, so-and-so has died. May his soul rest in peace.
May he rest in peace.
Now, so is the soul, his soul, by definition means that he is not the soul. Right? When I say my hand, I own my hand. If I own my hand, I cannot be my hand. This is the basic start of vichara when we do that sharira bodha, getting rid of sharira bodha. This is vichara is very important. So what should you say? Okay, just say Om Shanti. May he find eternal peace. May he rest, depending on your viewpoint, may he rest in Vaikuntha forever. Right? Salokya, Sayujya, etc., etc. May he merge with the divine. That is an appropriate Sanatani response. So anyway, I'm digressing. It's
interesting that Acharya himself, in the treadmill verse, Kripaya pare pahi murare.
Correct. Because as long as
you take me across.
Because as long as I have body identification, I cannot work with it. No. I need another thorn to remove one thorn. I need a tweezer to pull out that thorn. That is why pahi murare. And that is where we have to come here also. That you have to start at that level. And that is the second application. The first application that I see is that we need to purify ourselves, get rid of the vasanas, get rid of the body identification, get rid of the mind identification, and the self completely starts shining through and reveals itself. But to do that, you have to have a sense of surrender to something bigger than you. And that bigger than you is whatever you call it. Devi, Krishna, Shakti, Shiva, Ganapati, doesn't matter. So this, the Upanishadic reference that I gave was from chapter 1, Adhyaya 2, verse number 23 from Kathopanishad. Interestingly, in the Mundaka Upanishad, not Mandukya. Mandukya is different, Mundaka is different. Mundaka is Mundaka. He was shaven at it. Mandukya, frog. Manduka is a frog. So Mundaka Upanishad in verse 3, chapter 3, sorry. This verse also exact repetition, same verse as repeated over there. So I mean, I remembered Kathopanishad. I didn't remember Mundaka Upanishad. So then I put it into Google to check any other cross reference which is similar, and it popped up Mundaka Upanishad. Then I opened Mundaka Upanishad and I found the exact reference. So the Rishis have repeated this twice, and they have said the self will reveal itself to you. You don't have to wait for an external source. Uddaret Atmana Atmanam is correct. I have to do the effort. So that's, yes, please. Go ahead.
One of the greatest pieces of advice I've ever received in my life came from my friend's father. He never finished his schooling and all that, but he was a very wise man, Sardar. He told me, as I was setting out to join the engineering college, he said, if you face a very difficult problem and you think that the problem is too difficult, at that moment the problem has beaten you. But on the other hand, if you say that the problem will not, you can always find a solution to the problem, there is no problem that can beat you, and you jump on the problem and you wrestle with it, he said the problem will give you the solution. So it's literally, you are given the solution. It's not you finding things out, it will automatically reveal itself. In my life, I've seen umpteen times, it just comes out like that.
Abhishek, you said something.
I said thank you. It was
Okay.
great words of wisdom.
Chaliye. So that ends the quiz from chapter 1 to chapter 12.
Did we pass?
There's no pass failure. Question is, did you learn something more? If yes, you passed. If the question is, if you know, no, I didn't learn anything, then go back, start again. We'll start with chapter 13. Before we start with chapter 13, I'm going to go into Shankara Bhashya of chapter 13 and look at the verse number 1 of chapter 13. And I will use that as my basis for the next session. If you read the Shankara Bhashya of on the Bhagavad Gita, he has spent the largest single number of shlokas on this one verse in the entire Bhashya. And like Krishna is always, he starts at the top, right? So if we understand that, the rest of the chapter is very easy to understand. But the first verse is difficult. First two verses, I'll actually put it at two verses. And we will spend a lot of time on that. It will be possibly more than 3 or 4 sessions where we will be stuck with just these two verses. So we will start there from the next session. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.